What we're trying to do is control the location of where this low point of your arc is. Your club, every arc has a point, it reaches its lowest point and then it goes back up again. We want your low point to be just in front of the ball.
Is that with every club?
With every club except the driver on it, ball's on a tee. Then you can have the low point behind the ball because you want to swing up into it. But when the ball's on the ground, you must hit the ball before you hit the ground. So in a sense, you can almost have, for a drill purpose, you can almost have an extreme image in your mind, is I'm going to try to bury the ball into the ground. I'm not trying to lift it up in the air. I'm trying to bury it into the ground. I want to swing down at it. So I'm going to preset myself on this side and just punch down into it. My low point is here because all my weight's on the left side. I'm just going to, this is a drill, I'm just chopping down. I'm emphasizing a fundamental. I'm just punching down at it. So I'm isolating one particular element. That's not the full swing, obviously. The other elements are going to enhance the whole thing. But don't be timid. Go ahead and trust yourself.
Okay.
Don't try to guide it. It's more what I want in terms of the impact. Ooh, that's sweet. Now that was the right amount of ground contact. The other little things I was doing in the drill were exaggerations.
Okay, yeah.
That one there was perfect. Just a little bump of the ground. Perfect. Good. That's it. Let's just stay on that right now since it's kind of, let's get some reinforcement of that too. Those are 2 in a row, really, really good. Bring us some speed. Yeah. Yes, that's awesome. That's excellent. Very good. That was very solid. Whether or not you had it was solid has nothing to do with its directional. You could hit it solid and misdirect it. And you could hit it not solid and hit it straight. Was that also solid?
I think I just hit it a little bit towards
more of a 7 maybe?
Yeah.
6 or 7?
6.
Okay, okay, that's our 6.
That felt pretty bang in the middle.
It did.
Yeah.
That was good. Over time, the sound and feel, you know, if I brought a bell out here and hit it, boom. You know, tomorrow you may forget what tone that was, what note it was. Yeah. But if I sit here for an hour hitting that tone, it just never leaves you.
Yeah.
That's what I want this sound to be.
Okay.
I want that feeling of solidness to be. So when you're over that ball, you're just replaying the music of that boom, boom. If you have that sound with a swing, you're going to find your golf ball.
Okay.
Hitting it consistently solid is something that every golfer needs to focus on. Now the directional things are geometry problems, not impact problems. We're just going to hit it solid with better geometry in a minute. But right now I want consistent solid. All of those are really good. They're certainly within the range of acceptability.
That one didn't quite hear the ding. Didn't hear the bell in my head on that one.
Yep.
It's funny because I always used to slice and lately I've been hooking a lot. So I know my swing's changed.
That's right.
It was after I watched something you emailed me about that not always the face is the reason for your ball, it's sometimes the direction, the path.
Yes.
So what I changed my path direction a bit. I felt like I came more like this than like this, and that's why I started going this way instead of that way.
And so if they want to, if this is their target line and they want to land on that line down there, they have to start it to the right and then let it draw back to the line. They don't start it at the line and miss it. That's what you're doing right now. You're starting it on the line you want to end up on, but it's got this curve in missing left. So you want to start it. So what you could do is change what you call our swing direction. This ball is starting kind of on that line, but then it's going over here. it's not curving a lot. It's a small curve, but it's starting too straight. What if we started it over here? So it would start here and land on our line. So let's move your swing direction to the right. So I want you to set up more this way and then just do the same swing. Don't change your swing. It's like you're standing on a lazy Susan and someone just rotated you. Now there's some other little changes I need to make, and when I make these other changes, I may need to change your swing direction again or adjust it again. But the swing you have now, you could have more of them in the fairway if we simply change your swing direction.
Just like that.
Very good.
That was a nice draw, wasn't it? I saw it on TV.
That's right. Hitting a lot of fairways right now. Well, we're not going to add any more wrinkles to your swing right now. Let's just focus on this right now. That's a beautiful drive right there. That may be the best drive you've hit today right there. Right now, we've hit every shot, 20 shots, 25 shots, all curving left. That's a great thing. What you don't want is not to know which way the ball's going to curve when you hit it. You know which way the ball's going to curve, it's just how much. And there's two issues. One is how much it's going to curve and how low or high it may be. The higher ones are the better ones. Some of your misses now are easily defined. They're what I call low left. They're low left. Now they're not getting you in a lot of trouble because you're starting them far enough to the right that as it moves left, it's not moving crazy left. Before, it was starting too straight and going too far left. Your low lefts were getting you in more trouble than they are now. They still exist, and I want to get rid of them. But the change we've made has increased the percentage of good and bad shots that are in the fairway, and have minimized the damage that was done when you did hit the low left. I don't know this to be a fact, but you need to know or confirm in your own mind that that we're okay. This club, when I just set it on its belly, on its back, not gripping it in any way, produces a certain loft in the face. It's not like this or like this. It's always, if I just simply do this on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, it's always going to be the same. It never changes. That's the way it needs to be after the gripping is over with. If I start like this, but in the gripping processes, I torque it. And I think there's a possibility that you're doing that a little bit.
I think I am, yeah, I can feel that now.
That introduces a lower lofted club and a face that's aiming more left. So you want to grip it lightly while watching the club head.
One reason that I've been doing that is because I'm a little confused what to do with my elbows. I start like this, and then I think, is it supposed to be more like this first, and then like this, swing like that?
No, I haven't even gripped yet, and I've already have my elbows right.
Yeah. And then what I'm doing is I'm bringing them in like this, facing them together. Am I supposed to do that?
I would say, you ever played much beach balls? Volleyball?
Yeah.
Do you bump?
Yep.
Okay, that's it.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know why.
You didn't have to think about that. You just did it. You just sat. Except
Okay.
in volleyball, you're like this. In golf, you're like this. But my elbows don't really change.
Why? Because I've been pulling my elbows facing each other rather than...
And you're right. If I do that, it kind of turns that over.
That's exactly what I've been doing. That's why I've been doing that. I just realized.
Let's kind of work on our pre-shot gripping routine and to see if we can't better manage how we prevent ourselves from manipulating the club face. I was wrong a while ago when I said that shot a while ago was your best shot. That was your best shot.
Yeah, I went dead straight.
That was the right height, the right small curve left. That was just a nice high draw. You felt like that was different in your setup?
Just felt it was really different in my elbows.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's still a good ball.
Oh, but I'm aiming with the orange, that's why.
Yep. But that's, yeah,
Forgot about the yellow one.
So your swing direction still needs to be slightly to the right of the orange. Just like that. Very nice. Let me see you stand a little taller and slightly more up so your hands aren't reaching out quite as much. Just a fraction. Does it feel a little different? You're more in the center of your feet, not the toes?
Yep.
That looks good. Yeah, you're definitely coming what we call over the top. You're not swinging out anymore. You're swinging straight left. Your path is left now, not to the right. So you need to feel this right arm come right by your right pocket. So you're coming in from the inside. Much better.
Oh, that was really high.
Sometimes you let this right elbow come out.
Yep.
It comes out, and then the only place it can go is to the left on the downswing.
Yeah, I definitely feel that. Keep that right elbow in, nice and tucked
Yep.
in.
And if you start out with too much reach, you've started out with a disconnect with the right arm. So when you stand a little taller, it allows that the right elbow to get into your right side a little bit easier. Clint, at the beginning of the session with the driver, we adjusted only a few things. You were hitting, everything was curving left, but you were missing a lot of fairways left of the fairway. And so we made one change initially, and that was to adjust your swing direction more to the right. I had the orange stick for the target line and the yellow stick as a starting line, and I had you start shifting your setup so that you were lined up for the yellow stick, the one that was to the right. And just that one change allowed you to start hitting a lot more fairways. And so the ball flight you had was a curving left ball. You hit a mixture of reasonably good height tee shots and some that were a little bit lower than would be optimal. But they were all curving, and you were controlling the final position of the ball by shifting to the right. So more of the results were in the fairway. And most of the session we hit quite a few drives with only that adjustment so that you became familiar with it. I then wanted to have an impact on improving that ball flight so that it continued to be as accurate, but go up in the air a little bit higher, hit the ball slightly higher, and maybe slightly less leftward curve. And so I knew I needed to make some geometric adjustments, and the first one I made was in the ball position. You had a tendency to have it too far back. And we experimented a little bit with it going more forward to the left, but that created a strong leftward, even reverse of what we were trying to do. And I made a slight adjustment of your right hand, making sure it was on top, and that really helped a lot. The right hand had started sneaking underneath a little bit. And then in the end, I made an adjustment of working with you standing slightly taller. You had a tendency to reach out quite a bit. On the left here is your setup before I made a adjustment in your posture. This was the original posture that you were hitting a lot of good drives with, and I was tempted to leave it alone. But I did want to at least investigate the possibility of getting stand a little taller and closer so that you could get that right elbow closer to your right hip as you came through. On the right is Tiger, and I've drawn a blue line showing the angle. The blue line that's from the ground up to the top of your shoulder is a 90-degree line. And then on your side, you have an 18-degree angle of the right arm reaching out. Tiger's right arm is only 9 degrees. It's half the angle. So his hands are much more underneath his shoulder than yours. I've drawn a red line at 90 degrees from the nose to the ground, and your red line passes right through the back of your right hand. Tiger's red line is out in front of his right hand, so his right hand is actually closer to the blue line than the red line, and your right hand is on the red line. So visually, we can certainly see that you reach out more than Tiger does. And in order for you to simulate the same posture that Tiger has, you would have to stand slightly closer to the ball and then slightly taller. Both of those moves would then allow that arm to swing under your shoulder a little bit more. This here is Grant Wade on the right. He has a similar setup that Tiger had. His right arm is about 8 degrees from the 90-degree line, and his right hand is closer to the blue line than the red line. So, and here's Rory McIlroy, and again, his right arm is 11 degrees where yours is 18. He reaches a little bit more than Grant and Tiger, but not as much as you do. The purpose of that is to get that right arm on the downswing, to get that right elbow, allow it to come in closer to the right hip. I'm going to take a look at the downswing of Rory and pay particular attention to the right elbow and right hip. At that point in the swing, his right elbow is right here. His right hip is right next to it. He's continued to drive his right hip and right elbow as a connected unit. So you can see he's off his back foot here. He's turning, I can see his left back pocket because he's rotating and driving his hip and right shoulder and elbow in to out. So he's swinging in to out with that move. So as you come through, we're going to pay attention to this right hip and right elbow. You can see how your right elbow has gotten out of the circle, but your right hip is basically right where it was. Your back foot is still flat on the ground. There is not that shift to the left. You're almost at the golf ball now, but you really haven't rotated your hips at all. You've really just thrown this arm at the ball, but your lower body has not really participated in that strike. Now, as you continue your swing, you then will get through. And so from impact to the follow through, your upper body swing at the ball pulls your lower body into a good finish. And when we look at the finish, we get this false sense that we had good sequencing of both the lower body and the upper body because both of them arrived at a good position at the end of the swing. But your sequence was a little bit out of sync in terms of a fundamentally sound swing. You basically were swinging upper body into the golf ball, and then that effort would pull the lower body into a good finish. Here's Tiger on the right. You can watch his lower body, watch the hips turn. I can easily see his left back pocket. His right elbow and right hip move almost as a connected unit. You can also see Tiger's back foot is off the ground. He's strongly on his left side. Nice extended left leg. And then here's Grant Wade. Again, you can just watch how he really drives his right hip and elbow into the ball together right there. Now, I introduced to you toward the end of the session, having you stand slightly taller and a little bit closer to the golf ball. And because we had talked a little bit about how to swing from the inside by keeping the right elbow close to the right side of your body. On the left was your setup at the beginning of the session, and on the right was your new setup. Now, because you were uncomfortable, it wasn't familiar, you didn't hit a lot of great shots. You did hit a few good shots, but you're not comfortable with that setup right now. I was tempted to leave because you were hitting your drives really well and certainly very playable. I was tempted not to introduce this. I basically wanted to introduce it to see if you could maintain good results consistently with the change, because it definitely would be a change for the better. Gives you greater potential for your future game. But I do want to show you how you, on the right, you are much closer to what we would typically see on tour. I've changed you're standing up about 9 degrees taller, and your right hand is hanging under your right shoulder a little bit more than what it was. It's not reaching quite as much. Now, also I want to show you, as you on the left, I want us to focus specifically on this back foot and hip. This is right before impact, and you're almost in the same setup position with your posture. You do not have any kind of emphasis of driving and turning your right hip into the golf ball. Now let's look at your setup on the, or your swing on the right. Strong move right there with the right hip. Right foot is already coming off the ground. So right as you hit the ball, there's a little bit more hip turn, much better.
Closer. We're getting closer.
Ooh. That was pretty good. That went long.
That's a good drive.
It may be that your right hand, it only takes a couple degrees for that right hand to sneak under a little bit. So get it in those fingers.
Oh, that felt good. I'd say it felt pretty good, and the divot looked good. That felt good.